It is 5:30 p.m. on October 7th, 2025, and I call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Public Works. First on the agenda, we have messages from board members. Are there any messages from the board? None. All right, before we begin, I will just say if there is anyone joining us in person, when it is your time to speak, we'll ask you to come to the podium. For anyone joining the meeting on Zoom, you can use the raise hand function or the chat function, and we will ask you to unmute and speak at that time. So first, we will start with appeals. The first noise appeal is at 519 West Hoosier Court Avenue.
Hello, Inadina from City Legal. Can we push this one and go to the next one? Because the officer's on their way.
Sure. Okay, so we will pause that, and we will go on to the next noise appeal, which is 710 East First Street. All right.
First we'll present, and then you'll get it.
Almost.
Hello, I'm Officer Hightank with Bloomington Police Department.
All right, let me just get to the right spot in the packet. Could you tell us a little bit about what happened? We have the staff report. Is there any other information that you can provide?
Not other than what was already mentioned. We received a noise complaint for that address, and we received 3 more noise complaints before we responded to that address for noise.
We'll go ahead and do questions from the board.
Wait, you said 3 more complaints all in the same evening, all in the same night, or is that over the course of time?
Correct, all the same night.
Okay.
And there's a document in the packet that has, it looks like the complaint log. I'm just trying to determine the times that were called. 2253, 2256, 2302, 2303. Okay, can we have the appellant come to the, oh, sorry. More questions from the board, almost.
I'm thinking slowly tonight. So your statement is that you personally witnessed excessive noise coming from the appellant. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was the nature of the noise?
It was a loud party, people flowing into the street.
Okay.
We also got a complaint that there was possibly firearms and drug use. That did not appear to be the case. No firearms or drugs, but definitely noise.
Okay. And were there other people cited the same evening at the same address?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Was there something specific about the appellant's noise that came to your attention that others were not cited?
He lives there. We cite the resident that lives there that's responsible for the
I'm
party.
sorry, can you say that again?
He lived there. He said he lived there, and we cite the resident that lives at the address of the complaint.
Okay.
So just as a matter of course, and just for kind of our knowledge, do you cite the leaseholder essentially, or the subleaseholder, or any resident of the apartment?
It's whoever lives there. So basically anybody that's on a lease there or claims that they're a resident there, yes.
Okay, but again, there was just the noise complaint filed against the one person right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Not now? Okay, now if we can ask the appellant to come, if you could please state your name and then provide us with your information.
All right. My name is Carter Clay Smith. I'm the resident at 710. This is Anthony Escobedo. He's the one who the complaint was filed to. And our appeal is grounded in the fact that this was a private event for my club. I founded a professional development club last year called Black in Business, and it was for members only. But because of Bloomington, it's a party school, people like to have fun, And so it got out of hand due to it getting out of control. People were spreading the word without our permission. They were coming to the residence without our permission. The doors were locked so we wouldn't let other people who were not invited in. Because of that, there were a lot of people out on the streets that we tried to get to leave. I don't know if I remember correctly, I believe he said that the officer tried to get the people to leave and they also wouldn't leave. We tried to get them to leave ourselves before the complaints came. I think it'd also be fair to mention that it should be on the record that all those complaints that were just mentioned all happened within the span of 10 minutes. And it was because that there are these random people who just showed up on our lawn.
It was like a surge of people in like a 10-minute span. We couldn't control it. I know there was so the police came twice. The first time they gave us the ticket, we completely understood. We were like, we're gonna quiet it down, lock the doors, did whatever we could, and yet there was still like a surge of people. Where I'm kind of confused is that they told us noise wasn't an issue. Like that was what one of the police officers told me. He said they walked up to the house and it wasn't loud. Like everything noise-wise was contained in the house. I thought it was quiet, but it was the people. So I'm confused as to why is it a noise citation when it's these other people that we don't have control over.
And to follow up on that, we've also done extensive work with our neighbors. We've talked to all of them to make sure that it's okay, because we know that we're in their community. We don't impose ourselves, and so we want to make sure that everybody's we want to have fun, but we also don't want to like ruin other people's day.
100%.
And so we tested the noise. We've talked to all of our neighbors who are like in close proximity to us. We tested it before the party. We tested it before the party actually started, the same night of the party, and they also all confirmed that the noise was not an issue. Halfway, or about 30-ish minutes into the party, we texted Jeff, who has a sensitivity to like hearing issue that we talked about. Yeah. And so we were like, hey, Jeff, how's the noise? The party's starting to pick up, so we want to make sure like if we should adjust it or not. Jeff said everything was fine. It wasn't until the people came, and then specifically a certain, I don't know who it was, a certain group of individuals, they came in a black Suburban, and they were blasting music outside of their car. Yeah. So the noise wasn't even coming from our residence. It was coming from this mystery vehicle that decided it was appropriate to pull up in front of our house and just blast music, just bothering everybody. And so that's really the extent of our appeal, is that we feel like it was not on us, but on residents, and especially since we didn't invite them, and it was completely just like word of mouth that these other people invited these people. It was a private event for my members and his members. And I feel like really the noise complaint came from that black Suburban that was blasting the music, because that's the only possible source of the noise besides the people chattering, which isn't enough to get a noise complaint. So that's pretty much the extent of our appeal.
Can I ask which of you resides in the apartment or is on the lease?
Both of us, but I was the one who spoke to the police officers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's start with, I just have a follow-up question. Can the officer come back and just speak to the issue of the one officer said there wasn't enough noise, you said something about noise and it doesn't necessarily match what was in the call log.
Sorry, I didn't hear the first part of what you said. Can you repeat that for me?
You said that one of the officers said that there wasn't noise.
It was the second officer, so she's going to give us a citation.
But there was two other officers there at the scene, and he specifically told me that it was like, yeah, guys, noise isn't the issue. It's because of these people. So that's why I'm just confused as to why it is a noise citation when the police officer told me it wasn't the noise.
So is that referring to the same call, I wonder, or are we considering this that?
If they're saying that I was there, that would be the same call. I only responded to that residence once. When I arrived, I did hear loud amplified noise coming from the residence, not a car outside.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Questions from the board?
Some questions for me, and this I think is directed at staff. Are there statutory findings, or is there a burden of proof that we need to find in order to approve something like this?
Hello, it's Inadina from City of Bloomington Legal Department. Inadina Casamanian. So under 14.09030, noise is prohibited. It's any unreasonable noise shall mean sound that is volume, frequency, or pattern that prevents, disrupts, injures, or endangers the health, safety, welfare, prosperity, comfort, or repose of reasonable persons of ordinary sensitivities. So I would ask that you look to that statute 14.09030 in the Bloomington Municipal Code.
We got two attorneys here today. One more thing I'd like to add is in 14.09030B, it's unlawful for any person to cause or make any unreasonable noise or to allow any unreasonable noise to be caused or made in or on any real or personal property occupied or controlled by the person. So I think the residents said it was their house. They did have an event that drew people to it, maybe more people than they wanted. But they failed to control the environment. It resulted in noise that the officer said she heard coming from the house, and she issued a ticket. I think the finding that the board can make is based on those facts. We do have the owners here admitted they had an event, caused a crowd to come for whatever reason, whether it was social media or I don't know how the people knew about it, but they were there, acknowledged by the owners, and the officer said, I heard noise when I was coming up to the house. And so I think it was a failure to control the environment that resulted in the unreasonable noise. I think that's the finding that the board could make if you so wanted.
So before you go, so, I come from the board from a planning and zoning and
Yeah,
BZ
yeah,
background where there's
appreciate that,
very
yeah.
specific findings.
Yeah,
We have to, but
yeah.
what I'm hearing you say is that we're simply weighing the facts and whether the facts of the testimony correspond to our understanding and reading of the city statute.
Yes, right. So obviously, to support a code violation, there have to be facts to support it. And the officer has said she personally heard noise coming from the house loud enough that it was, in her professional opinion, unreasonable noise. We did get verification from the occupants of the home that they also knew there was noise. Now, it was, they said outside of the residence, but it was, I think per the code, on their property, and it wasn't, they weren't able to control it. So it's a violation to allow any unreasonable noise to be caused or made in or on real or personal property occupied or controlled by that person. And so as long as you have that finding in the record, those facts in the record, it would support this should it get appealed to the next level.
And then one final question. This is the first one of these I've seen since I've been on the board. Recourse for the appellants if we were to deny the appeal. Can
They
you
can
explain
appeal
that?
to circuit court, and
Okay.
then we would, again, why this has been put in the record, why the officer was here, was to say, I had personal knowledge of this. You know, the comment about the other officer, what he said is hearsay. He's not here to testify it. We don't know whether, in fact, that officer said that or not. Not saying that the occupants aren't telling the truth, we just don't have actual proof of that. And so if they chose to appeal to the circuit court, then we would prosecute that at that level, and then see what the trial court did. Okay.
Thank you.
Officer, one additional question, and then we'll give you a chance to come back up. I'm sorry. The appellants mentioned a black Suburban with a lot of noise emanating from it, and I just want to confirm that you said when you heard noise, you identified it as coming out of the house, not the street in front of the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I'll give you another chance to speak.
I'd like to follow up first on the facts that were mentioned. If we're speaking about the facts, I don't know if the officer can testify to this as well, but the majority of the people were not on our property but on the sidewalk. And under my understanding, I'm pretty sure that's public property and not under us. One, inability to control and manage the people. It was not under us. We controlled the people that we had under our supervision. These other people are not under our supervision. They were not inside our property, and we kicked them off our property onto the street. That's where this whole debacle happened. Also, speaking towards even the rule of recognition, I feel like the whole point of this is to kind of the purpose of that tort is to make sure that the entity or the people who are actually causing the noise are held liable. And I feel like it'd be almost unjust to find us liable if we're not the parties responsible for the noise. Also, one of the attorneys mentioned something about like the source of the noise and who's responsible for it. And I feel like that's a key thing that we should harp on, and how that the source of the noise, we will continue to state as it's our fact of the matter that the noise was not coming from our house. We did multiple checks to make sure our noise would not be above like any limit that would disturb, bother the peace, prevent anybody from sleeping. There's a family next to us, the guy who has the ear problem next to us. We did our due diligence to make sure it would not bother them. During the party, unless the door was open at the time, I'm sure that's why it was loud, because once the door opens, the music is able to transcend a lot farther. But once the doors are closed, we've tested multiple times. We tested it after the appeal and after we got the citation. Everybody that we've talked to, all 4 of our neighbors, the ones at 7, I don't know, but the Jeff, Anka, they're all professors, River and Rowan, all these people, they all attested to us and said that the noise wasn't a problem. Actually, one of our neighbors made a joke and said, did we still throw the party? Because they didn't even hear the noise. I understand that may be hearsay, but going back to the facts of the matter, it was under our control, and what was under our control was kept underneath the legal limit. What wasn't outside of our control, we kicked them off the property, so it was no longer our responsibility. And what they chose to do on public property, I feel like has nothing to do with us. And last, going back to the intention of the ordinance in the first place, is to hold those accountable liable. And our engagement in the fact, we have done our best to hold ourselves liable beyond that.
100%.
And I feel like it would just be unfair to blame stuff that is outside of our circumstances. When we did our due diligence, we controlled the situation, we got the people off our property, to still say it's our fault. But that's what I would say. And the key facts are, we kicked them off our property, we did our due diligence, and the noise is only loud if the door's open. So of course the officer would say the noise is loud, but that's what we would say.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public or on Zoom?
No questions in chat.
All right. Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll move that the Board of Public Works deny the appeal from the noise violation at 710 East First Street with the finding that the appellants, how do I phrase that? Margie, do I need a specific finding, or is the facts in the record enough?
So there's case law that says boards and commissions speak through their minutes. I think that I will give you the language of the code then again, though, if you'd like to think about your motion. Again, unreasonable noise means sound that is of a volume, frequency, or pattern that sort of disrupts the repose of reasonable persons. And I can tell you that I wrote this noise ordinance back in the day, and reasonableness standard is required. So because the courts have said it's sometimes hard to define, but everybody knows it when they see it. You know, you kind of know what's reasonable and what's unreasonable. Noise that you can hear outside of a house, from outside of the house, is, considered unreasonable. So.
Was the one that you mentioned earlier about allowing for
B,
it to
yeah.
B.
And that's subsection B, except as otherwise provided, it shall be unlawful for any person to cause or make any unreasonable noise, or to allow any unreasonable noise to be caused or made in or on any real or personal property occupied or controlled by that person. So allowing the unreasonable noise that on their property or property that they control. I will just again reiterate that the officer said she heard the noise coming from the house.
Okay, so let me rephrase this. I move that the board deny the noise appeal at 710 East First Street, finding that the appellants did allow for unreasonable noise to be caused or made in or on their real estate.
And I will second. With a motion and a second, I will call the roll. This is a motion to deny the noise appeal. Roach?
Aye.
Carone, aye. Motion passes to deny the appeal at 710 East First Street. Thank you both for coming. Do we automatically provide information about appealing if desired?
No, that's generally up to them.
Okay. All right, so now we will move on to the other noise appeal, which is 519 West Hoosier Court Avenue.
For this one, we have, looks like just the officer.
I'm sorry?
The officer is here.
Okay. Can you tell us your version of what happened, please, or connecting to the staff report of the incident?
So on the night of the noise call, it pended for approximately 27 minutes or more before we went to respond to it. By the time we responded, I believe, I don't have my notes in front of me, but it's like 43 minutes before we arrived. I parked roughly 50 to 100 yards away, could hear the music from my vehicle, approached the apartment. There was 3 people standing outside. When I approached the apartment, I asked who lived there. You can still hear the noise from inside the apartment. Doors and windows were all closed. A young lady said that she lived there. I informed her why I was there for a noise ordinance and everything else violation and complaint. When I did such, she asked if I could give her a warning. I said no. At this point in time, I believe, I don't know the exact time it was, but it was after midnight. And being the distance where I was by parked, I could still hear it from my vehicle, and when I exited the vehicle, I went and requested her ID and issued her a noise ordinance. And I explained to her what the ordinance was, how to appeal the ordinance, and the steps she needed to go through.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Is the appellant here with us?
The appellant's online.
Okay. Questions for the officer first?
So similar to the last appeal, just want to make sure I understand your testimony correctly. You personally witnessed excessive noise coming from this address?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, if the appellant is on Zoom, April, could we hear from the appellant, please?
Hi. So my name is Surya Teja Motkuri, and I'm a graduate student here at IU. This is my first time dealing with any kind of citation, so I really appreciate the chance to explain what happened. So on the night of the incident of September 14, 2025, we had a small gathering at our house that involves roughly around 8 to 9 people. It was a birthday party. I was not the host of the gathering. I live in that house. I live in that house very separately, not so involved with my roommates. And because it was a birthday party of my roommate, I was just invited to the party. I had no control. I didn't organize any of the event. The actual host name was Lokesh Reddy Eluri, and in the packet submitted with me as additional information, he has provided a signed statement accepting full responsibility for the noise that night. So I just want to clear some facts mentioned by the officer. So when the officer came, there were 3 people outside standing. It was me, my friend, and my another friend who was a female. So I want to mention that my female friend never talked to the officer. He always talked to me, and he did not issue the citation to a she. He issued the citation to on my name. So I'm a male. So the citation was issued against my name. I was the only person talking to the officer. So I was honestly nervous about that situation, and since I had my ID back on my phone, I didn't want to escalate this issue. So I handed it over when he asked. I was just cooperating with him. So that is the reason I believe the ticket ended up being issued in my name, just because I was the first person he interacted with. not because I was the one hosting the party, not because I was the one managing the party, or not because I had any control over the party. I had no authority over the music or the number of guests. I was just cooperating with the officer, trying not to escalate this issue. I respectfully agree with all the rules of City of Bloomington and the community rules, and also understand my responsibilities as being the resident. So I have attached other supporting documentations as well with my appeal. So I respectfully ask the board to consider this information as I was not the responsible party.
Thank you
And
very much.
just to make sure, I want to clear that I was the one who talked to the officer. Officer didn't have any conversation or any kind of wording with any female that was present outside the house. I was just outside talking to my friend.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board?
So questions for the appellant. Just to confirm, you are one of the leaseholders at 519 West Hoosier Court, is that, or Hoosier Avenue, is
Yes,
that correct?
that is correct.
And the person that you say is responsible, that took the responsibility, are they also a leaseholder at that address?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And were they in attendance? Were they there physically at the location at that time?
Yeah, they were there physically at that location that time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is the other person who's the leaseholder the one you're referring to who did not speak with the officer, the female?
No, she did not speak with the female. She did not speak with the officer. The female did not have any conversation with the officer.
But the
He
female
only
is
spoke
the
to me.
other leaseholder.
No, she is not a leaseholder. She was just an invited guest.
Sorry, I don't remember your name. How many citations were issued that night?
To that residence, just one.
Okay. And is it typically your practice that when you find someone who, resides at the location, who holds the lease, who's the property owner, you issue the citation to that person, or do you try to track down the person who's ultimately responsible?
That person is their residence, they're responsible for what happens there.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm trying to frame my question. I don't know if it's for legal, but if there's two parties who live at a residence that are both leaseholders, and one is responsible but indoors, and one is not responsible but outdoors, and the officer talks to the person outdoors who claims not to be responsible for the noise, but the noise is happening indoors with the other resident, I would appreciate a little feedback, maybe.
Yeah, I think. Margie Rice, City Legal. I think it goes back to the control issue. So, you think about who, what, when, where, why, and how. It's a party. There is loud noise. The, leaseholder is in control of the property, can ask people to leave, can ask them to stop, whether or not they invited the people over. It is their house. They are paying rent there. They have control over it. And if they choose not to stop the noise and it gets out of control and the officer has to be called, it's really an objective standard. If there was noise, it was heard by an officer, so, there's complaints and they come and they hear the noise, and the person who's in charge of that space, whether or not they're participating in the activities, allows the noise to continue, there's culpability. And so I think that the owner, if, my apartment, my house, I can say, hey, you know what, you need to leave. This may not be my birthday party, I may not be invited, but it is my house, and you need to leave because this is out of control. And so I think it's really a control issue. Does that answer your question, or does it not answer your question?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a little bit of, being at the wrong place at the wrong time, and if you allow the the noise to continue and don't stop it, then, you can be liable for that.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that one resident was outside the house. The complaint was about the noise inside the house. The resident ticketed was outside the
Outside.
house, not inside the house with the noise.
Sure, but if the officer is hearing the noise approaching the house, certainly that person can hear the noise. I did not hear the person say they didn't hear the noise or there wasn't a party going on. They chose not to stop it. I don't know why they chose not to stop it. It resulted in a ticket. If this appellant believes that the other person was more responsible, they can always get reimbursed, for the ticket from that person. But sometimes choosing to allow noise to continue when you have the opportunity to stop it from happening, and it bothers the neighbors such that the police get called, it's a lesson in learning how to control your environment.
Okay, thank you very much. Other questions from the board?
No.
Questions from the public on this item?
There is nothing on Zoom.
Okay, so is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Public Works deny the noise appeal at 519 West Hoosier Court Avenue, finding that the appellant did unlawfully allow unreasonable noise to be made in property that they control.
And I second. With the motion and the second, I will call the roll. Roach?
Aye.
Caron, aye. Motion passes to deny the appeal. And with that, we will move along to petitions and remonstrances. Are there any comments or questions, actually comments, about any item that is not on tonight's agenda? Anyone in person in council chambers or online? If you would use the chat function or raise your hand.
There's nothing on Zoom.
Okay. Moving along to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda is very long, so bear with me for a moment. On the consent agenda, we have minutes from July 1st, 2025, minutes from the special meeting on July 14th, 2025, Resolution 2025-070, mobile vendor Bloomington on wheels, Resolution 2025-073, holiday market, Resolution 2025-076, Polish American Heritage Month celebration. Resolution 2025-077, Bloomington Book Festival. Public improvement acceptance for 1503 West Arlington Road subdivision. Public improvement bond reduction for the Ralston Drive subdivision. Memorandum of understanding between the Board of Public Works and Bloomington Transit for the West 2nd Street project. Change orders 2 and 3 for the Longview Greenway project. Contract with E&B Paving LLC for the downtown paving project. Contract with AccuBrine LLC for salt brine machine maintenance. Service agreement with Groomer Construction for planter box repair at the southeast corner of Kirkwood and Washington. Outdoor lighting service agreement with Duke at West Smith Avenue between South Fairview Street and South Jackson Street. Outdoor lighting service agreement with Duke at North Orris Drive between West 11th Street and North Monroe Street. Outdoor lighting service agreement with Duke at various locations from West Smith Avenue to West 17th Street and South Euclid Avenue to South Rogers Street. Contract with E&B Paving LLC for the Union Street raised crosswalk and payroll. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda this evening? Any comments from the board on the consent agenda? Any comments from the public from the consent agenda this evening? Again, if you are on Zoom, feel free to use the raise hand function or chat.
There's nothing on Zoom.
All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
I move approval of the Board of Public Works consent agenda for the meeting of October 7th, 2025.
And I second. With the motion and a second, I will call the roll. Roach?
Aye.
Caron, aye. Motion passes. Next, we will move along to new business, and the first order of, or item under new business is the proposed lighting plan and encroachments for the Bloomington Convention Center.
From engineering, I will be bringing you the rest of the agenda tonight.
Thank you.
So first up, we have a preliminary approval for encroachments into the right-of-way for the new convention center. This is for 3 street lights that will replace the Cobra headlights that were removed to provide adequate street lighting in that section of East 3rd Street. They just wanted approval that we will accept these encroachments into the right-of-way before they go through the process of installing them.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Okay, let me make sure I understand. So there will be another encroachment agreement for this?
There will be an encroachment agreement. This is just, you're just giving them a verbal approval that we will accept the encroachment agreement later on.
Why couldn't we just approve the encroachment agreement now?
Because we don't want to do a formal encroachment agreement until it is actually in place.
Oh. Okay.
So that way we know that it is built the way we want it to be built.
Okay. And these are going to be privately owned and
These are
paid for, is that
privately
correct?
owned and maintained, yes. Or they will be maintained and paid for by the convention center.
Okay, thank you.
Questions from the public on this item? All right, is there a motion?
I move preliminary approval of the proposed lighting encroachment agreement for the Bloomington Convention Center.
And I second. With the motion and the second, I will call the roll. Roach?
Aye.
Carone, aye. Motion passes. Next item is road closure and noise permit for night work for the Baxter Village subdivision.
So this is a request for a road closure on East Moores Pike between Smith Road and 446 for the Baxter Village subdivision, for them to complete their tap into the water main so that they can provide water to the future subdivision. This request includes night work, which will be done on October 14th and October 20th. The rest of the work will be done during the day This is to limit the impacts on this very well-traveled road. I know that in the work session, you had asked that the notification go out to the neighbors. We have required that and told them that the permit will not be issued until we receive confirmation that the neighbors have been notified.
Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. Other questions? All right. Questions from the public? Either in person, you can approach the podium, or on Zoom. Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move
What?
approval. Oh, do you have a question on this particular item, sir?
All right, if you could approach the podium and state your name, please.
My name is Joseph Bradley Davis, and my question is, could you please reiterate what the potential negative impacts of going ahead and approving this decision might be, so that the general public will more fully understand what this immediate vote might result in? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will ask staff just to reiterate what's on the staff report about this item, please.
So this is a petition, or a request for a road closure of East Moores Pike between Smith Road and 446 that does involve some night work. This is to tap into the city's water main to provide water service for the future Baxter Village subdivision, which is an 18-lot single-family subdivision that is going in this area. The work is structured to have two overnight work periods. That is to limit the closures during the MCCSC days so that while school is in session, there is no detour, because the detour for this particular work is up to 3rd Street. So that is the reason for the night permit. There are minimal, there's only really 2 houses that are right adjacent to this subdivision. They will be notified, as well as the neighborhood to the neighborhoods to the north. The work is going to be done over fall break to limit impacts to MCCSC.
Great. Thank you very much.
So I would just encourage the contractor to do more than just notify those 2 homeowners, that they
Yes,
would be
and
very close.
we have told them that we will not actually issue the permit until we receive a copy of the notification that was sent to them.
Great.
And usually what we've been doing is we have been asking them to send those out via email and include engineering in the email that is sent to the adjacent property owners.
It'd probably be nice to go and knock on the door, too.
Pardon?
Probably nice to go knock on the door and have face-to-face conversations. But
yes.
yeah, we can't prove that, but we can prove an email.
Correct. But yes.
And to paraphrase the request of the public, the impact to the public here is temporary inconvenience during construction.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion on this item?
Yes, I move approval of the road closure and noise permit for night work for the Baxter Village subdivision.
And I second. With the motion and a second, I will call the roll. Roach?
Aye.
Carone, aye. Motion passes. The next item is sidewalk closure for building associates at Winston Thomas Fire Training Center.
This is a request for a pedestrian diversion and closure of the west sidewalk along South Walnut Street as part of the Winston Thomas Fire Training and Logistics Station project at 3812 South Walnut Street. This is a 1 to 2 day closure that will be required to tie in the existing sidewalk to the new sidewalk. Once the pedestrian diversion is in place, the existing sidewalk will be removed to facilitate the utility work. The traffic control will be in place from October 13th through December 25th. So that's the diversion that will be in place. Pedestrian access will be maintained via the new sidewalk section.
Thank you very much. Questions from the board?
None for me.
None for me. Are there questions from the public? Anything on Zoom?
There's nothing on Zoom.
Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move approval of the sidewalk closure for building associates at the Winston Thomas Fire Training Center on South Walnut Street.
And I second. With a motion and a second, I will call the roll. Roach?
Aye.
Carone, aye. Motion passes. Next, we will move along to staff reports and other business.
We have a staff report from engineering. We, in 2024, did an MOU with Monroe County regarding the Monroe County Karst Farm Greenway Project Connector, where we transferred parts of the city's right-of-way to the county to allow them to build out infrastructure. That project has completed, so we will be taking back our right-of-way on Liberty Drive and Constitution Avenue. And this is just to update the board. We've gone out, we've inspected everything. It meets city codes and specifications, and it will just now be back under city control. The MOU has ended, and we just wanted to update the board.
So just clarifying, we didn't transfer the right-of-way, we transferred the maintenance responsibility for the right-of-way?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
So it was
yes.
always city
It was always
right-of-way.
city right-of-way. We just transferred the responsibility for the maintenance and the ability for them to construct in our right-of-way.
Great. And the reason why they were constructing in our right-of-way was because the MPO granted the funding to the county.
Correct.
For the project as a whole, including
Yes.
parts in the city limits and parts out of the city limits.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next, we have approval of claims. Any questions from the board about claims? Questions from the public about claims?
Nothing on Zoom.
All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
I move approval of the claims for the meeting of October 7th, 2025, in the amount of $1,773,561.78.
And I second. With a motion and a second, I will call the roll. Roach?
Aye.
Crone, aye. Motion passes. With that, we come to the end of our agenda, and I will call adjournment.